Well, hello there everyone, and welcome back to episode 4 of the Spigot coding series. Yeah, I missed sadly the last upload, which was on Friday, so I'm going to upload an episode today and on Friday, so I'm really sorry for that. But in today's episode, I got something nice for you, which is really expandable, and you can do a lot of great things with this, especially if you do some custom things with custom mobs and stuff. So what we're going to do today is add custom mob drops. I made a really simple example for this. Basically just cutting any mob is dropping you 15 sticks now. But today we're going a bit more in detail into that, and we're adding it for one specific mob. So let's get right started with that. So the first thing you want to do is actually create a new listener called entity drop listener, or you can literally call this whatever you want, but I like calling my classes depending on what they're actually supposed to be used for. So yeah, and then again we implement the event listener here by typing implements listener and implementing the one from org bucket event. And the first thing we want to do again is add the add event handler, and then we create a new method called public void. Let's call this one on zombie kill. You can do this called however you want. You can call this on entity kill. If you want to put in multiple ones, we can actually do that as well. We can do multiple drops real quick. I think that would be a wise choice. And for this one we are using the entity death event. So yeah, how do we add custom drops? First of all, we want to see which type of mob it is. So for this we want to switch the e.get entity type, and then so basically for anyone who has not used a switch statement yet, switch statements are basically your same as you would type if e.get entity type equals to, and then you go from here, let's say axolotl, and then else if, and you type animal. It's basically this, but instead here you type case and then let's say case cat, and then you break it after that, case axolotl, you break it after that. Basically just this. It's the same. But yeah, the switch statements, after using a lot of them, like if you want to check for a singular, you can use if, but if you use multiple ones, I would recommend using a switch statement, because if you have like a massive list, instead of just doing else if all the time, you can just do this, and this has better performance in the long run. So yeah, let's actually get started with this. The first mob I want to add is a zombie. So let's do case zombie. We can either break if you want to do any code afterwards, or we can just return if you want to completely get out of the statement again, out of this method. So for now, we're actually going to return, because I don't want to execute any code afterwards. So let's actually do another case, which is the case, let's do pig, because why not? And then we want to return that as well. You see, you don't have to return anything after the last statement, because, well, there's nothing to return anyways. So yeah, we can just break right here, or we don't even need to do anything, because there's nothing coming after this anyways. But yeah, as I said, you can do just break for both of them, but then you see there's a duplicate branch. This also tells you if you have any branches duplicate, and if I would type anything here right now, you see nothing happens. So yeah, how do we actually add a drop now? This is also fairly simple. We just get the list of drops by typing e.get drops, and then we just type add, and we just need to parse an item stack here. So let's actually do these items a bit more advanced, because only having like the plain items without anything to them is pretty boring. So let's actually create a custom item with a custom display name. And we do this fairly simple. We declare a new item stack, which is a new item stack with, let's say, a material of, let's see, zombie. We can do a iron sword. And then for this item, we need to get the item meta. So we type a item meta, I meta equals the item's item meta. And then we can type imeta.set, and you see there's like a few things. You can set it unbreakable, you can set the display name, you can set the lore, a custom model data, which is really nice for resource pack creators. I will also make a future episode about this. And there's also a lot more item meta to this, but yeah, I'm gonna get to that also to a future episode. So let's just say set display name, and we want to make this a bright red and call it zombie sword. We can also add a enchantment to this by typing add enchant, and then enchantment dot, let's say damage all, which is sharpness with a level of 1, and then true. I don't know really what this boolean at the end means. I haven't reused add enchant too often. I think this is just if the enchantment is safe or not, but I might be wrong here, so yeah. And then after all this, we want to item set item meta to the I meta. So yeah, we can also do a few more things here, because you can see in the long run this will clutter up. Especially if you want to add a randomized factor to this and actually add the drop. So we can do two things here, which is really nice. We can first of all put the item right here, and then just override it with like the case right here. And we can also do the randomized thing here. So in the switch cases, we just set the entity type, and right here we just put the percentage as well. So I'm gonna explain to you the percentage way that I use myself most of the time, or well, that I started using. So let's say the percentage we are going to put for the zombie to 0.25, which is basically just 25%. Let's quickly do the same thing for the pig real quick, but here we are going to put it to 0.75%. So yeah, also if you can see here, break and return, do the same thing. You always have to call this differently because they're already declared in the scope. This is something you will not get with what's it called, with if statements. So let's just shift F6 and call this imeta2. This is the simplest way to do this. So yeah, let's actually rename this. Let's come up with an idea real quick. Let's just call this, I don't know, cooked pork chop, and give this a light green and lucky pork or something like this. We do not want an enchantment on this one this time, so let's just do it like this. This is yellow because it says that this could return null, but this should never return null since the item stack is actually existent. If the item stack would be null, this would also return null, so yeah, since we're returning a new item stack here, it should not do anything anyways. Alright, and now we continue outside of the switch statement with the code we would otherwise type in here. So we would have a random here, then we get the value from the random, and then we set the items if value is in scope. You know, like you would have like these 3, 4, 5 lines in every single switch statement. That's why in the switch statement we just set the values, and outside of the switch statement we actually do the code. So first of all, we want to check if the item is null. So we basically did not set any item here for either the zombie or the pig, so we don't have a custom op to drop an item for. We just return. And here you have to actually initialize the item at first, because if you don't initialize it and don't put it to null, it gives you error down here. So if the item is null, we have not set a single item here, it just returns, well, to the void, so nothing happens after this. Otherwise, we want to first of all get the random value now. We can do this if new random dot next double, and then we want to less or equals to the percentage. We want to put this, if this is greater than percentage, then just return. And as well, percentage we need to put as 0 as a starter value, because otherwise you can see there's the same error again because it has not been initialized yet. So what this does, we set the percentage. Let's say there's a zombie who died, and the percentage is on, well, 25%. this new random.nextDouble will always return a value from 0 to 1. So it could be, for example, let's say that this value actually returns a 0.11 now. Since the 0.11 is not greater than the minimum percentage that we want, so it's not greater than 0.2500001. This is in our scope. That means it will not return, but it will continue with our code. So this is just a small and simple way to, well, add percentages to your code. So what we want to do afterwards is we just want to e.getDrops and then add the item that we have declared. And that is basically everything you need to add a custom drop with even a custom display name, well, to your mobs. So after you're done with that, please remember in your main class to actually register your event. That's something that happened to me super often. That's something that will happen to you a lot of times if you don't pay attention. And yeah, it has happened to me often enough, so I don't want anyone else to suffer from this. After we're done with this, we want to upload the plugin to our server, and we want to type /read.confirm. So yeah, let's get myself a pig and a zombie spawner, and let me also get a diamond sword. So if I kill this pig now, let's see, you already got the lucky pork with the green name. Let's see if the percentage thing are also working. So you see I didn't get it this time, and if I kill it again, I get it again. So yeah, basically the 75% should work. There's more for 50-50 right now, but it should be more towards, well, 75%. So yeah, our pig is working perfectly fine. Let's try it with the zombie as well. Oh, wow. So yeah, none this time. Still nothing this time. Let me put this bread here so we actually see if the item has been dropped. So as you can see, the percentage for this one is not as much, but that is, as you can see, the zombie sword with sharpness 1. This took a bit longer, since, well, the percentage is at 25%. And another thing you can easily add to your code, which makes it super nice. Let's say you want the zombie sword to be dropped from another mob as well. The thing you have to do is not exactly copy paste this. Let's say you want a, I don't know, a pillager to drop this as well. It will already tell you, hey, there's a duplicate branch. So all you have to do is literally just type another case right below the mob you want. And this will, now if it's either a zombie or a piglin, it will execute this. So yeah, this is really simple. I can show this to you that it actually works as well. So let me re-export this real quick. Replace and reload confirm. So if I get myself a piglin spawn egg now, and I kill this dude a few times until I finally get the drop. So yeah, as you can see, I finally got it after like I think 6 or 7 piglins, but there it is, your zombie sword in a nice bright red with sharpness 1. So yeah, that is everything for this episode. I hope you learned something today. The next episode will actually drop on Friday this time. I will actually kick myself in the butt if I will not do so. So yeah, if you want to support me, my Patreon is in the description. I think many of you already heard this a bunch of times, so I will try to not advertise it as much anymore, since, well, you already should know it already, and there's always a link in the description. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed today's episode, and I will hopefully see you on Friday again. So, see ya everyone.